Hey guys, so for this video, I'm going to show off some of the most useful building and editing techniques in Chapter 2 Season 2. You all really seem to love the last one of these that I made, and since the meta is constantly evolving, I wanted to do my best to keep you all up to date. That's why I went out, did as much research as I possibly could, and compiled the top must-learn tips and tricks for you lads watching at home. As per usual, I'll show what the trick is, how to do it and why it works, as well as an in-game example from the pro player I learned it from. So without further ado, let's get right on into the good stuff. The first trick I want all you guys to learn is one of my favorite new editing techniques called the Inspyre Classic. Usually, if you steal someone's wall in game, you can slide in a cone to prevent them from building and secure an easy kill. The thing is, if your opponent is a good player, they will often use your own cone for protection to outplay you. That's where the Inspyre Classic comes in. To do it, you want to yoink your opponent's wall like normal, place in a cone, and reset the wall edit to prevent any return fire. From there, open the wall again, edit the bottom left tile of the cone, and immediately follow that up by editing the right tile of the cone. This will drop your opponent under the cone structure for a free shot in the mouth. Now, the reason this works so insanely well is that your opponent will try to pre-fire your second edit, get blocked, and then have absolutely nothing left to protect themselves. Just make sure you can do the edit quickly, as that's probably the hardest part. So if you guys are looking for a unique and effective box fighting edit to add into your arsenal, the Inspyre Classic is exactly what you need. Second up is another insane box fighting technique, this time from Ryuzanami, that will completely stop W keyers in their tracks. As I'm sure all of you guys know, phasing is one of the best ways to take your opponent by surprise. Just put a ramp or edited cone above you and you can phase into any box you please. Alright, well how can we counter this? The answer is what Ryuzanami calls the U-block trick. To do it, just build a ramp in your own box, edit it starting from the bottom right all the way around to the bottom left, and then stand under your newly formed ramp edit while holding out your wall. This edit will literally block every single jump facing trick you can think of, and no matter how hard your opponent tries or how many times they attempt to get in, the ramp edit will keep them out. My personal favorite thing about it though is that you can actually reset the edited ramp while you're inside the box and phase through it yourself. That means if you can time the whole thing correctly, you can easily catch your opponent off guard with a cheeky edit shot. All they'll see is a flashing ramp with little to no clue as to where you are. Lastly, even if your opponent is smart and decides to replace your wall instead of trying to phase through it, they won't have an angle to take a shot on you at all. Their only chance to do damage will be by shooting at your feet. So if you're like me and you're sick of getting W keyed by absolute psychopaths, master the U-block ramp technique ASAP. Moving on, the third trick on my list is a ridiculously overpowered ramp edit by the European pro player Ares. You want to use this technique anytime you're ramping towards your opponent and decide to edit through on them. Most people, mainly beginners, will edit through the ramp and wall like this to go for the shot. A step above that would be flipping the ramp as I do here, again finishing with the shot. The problem with this, however, is you're not protected at all from someone who expects the edit. Therefore, you want to use the Ares Classic by editing the ramp to the left and making a top right corner edit on the wall. Doing this will give you an elevated right hand peek, which from your opponent's perspective looks exactly like this. Way better than the original edit, right? Not only are you going to confuse the heck out of your opponent with a weird sideways edit, but you're also going to be perfectly safe while doing it. So anytime you think about going for a cheeky ramp flip, hit your opponent with the Ares Classic instead. Speaking of ramp flips, this next trick is a really similar one I've seen from a ton of top tier pros. The way it works is rather than trying to build above someone who's to your side, thus giving you no opportunity for a kill, you can make the same sideways ramp edit and go for the elim by editing the wall open on them. Players like Martoz and Stretch are always using this and it always seems to work. Just be aware, you only want to pull it out when your opponent is to your side. Moving on to our fifth trick, and we have quite possibly the most aggressive one ever, the Kquid Classic. The first time I actually showed off this move was in my video with Kquid himself. The kid is an absolute beast at 13 years old and just recently won the Duo FNCS for his region. Regardless, his signature move is just about as straightforward as it gets. You take out your RPG, usually usually after pressuring one side of their box, then RPG the box and yourself as you're right in front of it to get in. From your opponent's perspective, they'll be trying to hold their builds when out of nowhere you appear 1 foot away from their face. And yes, I know you could easily accomplish the same exact thing without taking any damage from the RPG, but that's part of what makes it the Kquid classic. So if you're tired of people expecting you to phase into their box, pull out this technique to catch them off guard every single time. Next trick is not a technique or any sort of building / editing move, it's actually a way to not get shot while gliding. All you do is equip the new Deadpool Dragacorn glider, and I kid you not, you will never take damage in the air again. The reason why is as you pull the glider to come out, your character does this crazy little full body flip that ends with you standing up on top of the Dragacorn. In case you did not know, Fortnite adjusts the character's hitbox as it goes through that motion. That means in order to take damage, your opponent will have to track you perfectly throughout the insane acrobatics you do to get on the glider. Not to mention, it's already hard enough to hit people with standing gliders compared to the normal umbrella or hanger ones. So although Fortnite does say none of its in-game cosmetics are pay to win, there's a reason every pro and their mother has started using the Dragacorn glider. Back to actual building and editing techniques, and I want to break down this insane move Clix recently showed off on stream. What he did was he got the wall really low by shooting it, ran up in front of it, jumped up, and broke it as his character touched the wall, allowing him to phase through. He didn't need a ramp or cone over his head, he didn't need some fancy floor edit, all he needed was to perfectly time his jump with the wall breaking and being replaced by his opponent. My guess is it has something to do with the turbo building changes Epic made a while back, because as you can see from my ping, there's no reason anyone should be able to walk through my walls, yet my cousin was able to do it almost every single time. Last thing I wanted to mention was you can do this without jumping, just remember to practice it or to do it while you're on a ramp to give you some momentum. Either way, this is definitely one of the craziest new phasing techniques I suggest you all master. 8th trick I believe we're on is a 200 IQ Tarp technique from my good friend Resprit. By now, most of you guys know about the double Lair Tarp and why it's so useful. You want to pull it out while you're on high ground to make it harder for your opponent to shoot you out. That move has basically been the meta for like 2 years at this point, with the only new addition being you can reconnect your tarp to other builds for more protection. Well, with the triple Lair Tarp, you can get even more protection than that. Just build a wall to either side of your double tarp and keep that pattern until you decide it's time to stop. That will make it so when your opponent goes to shoot you out, they'll have to shoot out the wall on top of the other 2 builds, since that will be connected to the 2 walls closest to it. And to add on to that, if you're feeling really crazy, then you can build walls on both sides of the tarp for a quadruple Lair Tarp. This will obviously cost way more mats and won't get you as far into zone as you could with the normal Lair Tarp, but it is something interesting to keep in mind. So whether you're skybasing in pubs or you just have a ton of mats to use while on high ground, use the triple Lair Tarp technique for added security. Second to last move is another tarping technique, this time for branded FN, that is not mainly used for extra protection. The way it works is you pre-edit the bottom corner of your wall like this, then as you tarp above someone, place the edited wall structure on each side of your cone. I'm really not sure why this works, but the edited wall will place below your floor, which you can then use to make a play on someone below you. It's essentially free piece control on the guy below you while you're above them. Brandon himself thought you could also maybe use it for some added protection because it makes the double tarp you're on a little harder to see and hit. I just think it's a pretty unique strategy that will definitely take some people below you by surprise. For the 10th and final technique, I have another challenge for all you sweats. This time though, it's not for money since I have a big giveaway ongoing already. Check my most recent video. This one will be for a community tab shoutout on YouTube. Anyways, the challenge itself is to get a kill using this insane RPG grappler combo that we see Crims1x using right here. It's honestly not that hard to pull off, just shoot the RPG and grapple at it as soon as you can. The only hard part will be actually getting the grappler from the shark and then finding someone to use the trick on. Oh, and before I forget, the only rules are that the kill has to come directly as a result of the RPG grappler trick, it has to be in a battle royale match, not creative or team rumble, and a video of it has to be sent to me via Twitter or Instagram. First person to do that and send it to me will win the community tab shoutout for their channel. So I know it's not technically that new of a trick, especially for you trick shotters, but I'd love to see some of you guys use this combo together for a sick clip. Overall guys, those are 10 insanely useful Season 2 techniques you have to start using. Let me know down below which one was your favorite, as well as any similar ones I may have missed. On top of that, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code Jerian. As I said before, I'm doing a huge giveaway to celebrate 600k subscribers. All the details for it are in my last video on how to get good fast. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.